What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT, and would you look at that, I am talking about the Atari VCS again. The Register has come out with quite the damning article, and if you don't recall, I covered the Register's article regarding the Atari VCS over a year ago that was basically calling this whole thing a fraudulent effort, that Michael Arts, the marketing guy behind it, was lying directly to them, and he was called out because they recorded the audio from their conversation. When he said none of that happened, they were like, yeah, it did, and here are the tapes. So back then it was already a shady operation, but with this updated information here, looks like a full-on scam. JT. Time to check in again on the Atari Retro Console. Dear God, it's actually gotten worse. Pro tip, when you're removed as a Reddit moderator, you may want to review your life choices. Kieran McCarthy, thank you for writing this article. It's a fairly short article, just diving into a few different things going on with the Atari VCS right now, but one of the biggest takeaways is that they were booted from being a mod of the unofficial Atari VCS Reddit. Why is that, you may ask? Because they were using their mod status to ban people that were writing dissenting opinions, that disagreed with what was going on, that dared question the Atari VCS as vaporware. And once they started doing that, the unofficial mods were like, yeah, we're gonna get together and boot this group, because even though it's the official Atari VCS a part of this, they're ruining any kind of honest feedback and back and forth from the community. What do they do once they get booted? They go on and make the Atari VCS Official group, also known as Atari_VCS_Official on Reddit. And people are getting booted left and right once they start questioning anything about this console's legitimacy. People were questioning their dates. That's the biggest thing that keeps coming up throughout all of this. The Atari VCS was a crowd-funded campaign with promises of hitting these deadlines, which they have yet to do on anything they've promised, which should be a red flag for any backer that paid money towards this. $300+ paying for a console that does not and most likely will not ever exist. September 23rd was officially the autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere, a fact that prompted a very frustrated gamer to ask Atari what was going on with the product that he had forked over hundreds of dollars for more than a year earlier. And if you recall, Atari promised more information during summer 2019, and they didn't give any more information. In fact, that's been a running trend throughout this entire situation dealing with the Atari VCS. Missed deadlines over and over again. Deadlines are for losers. Atari zoomed past its first launch date of December 2017, something that resulted in a bizarre exchange between the LReg and COO Michael Arts in March 2018. This is what I was talking about at the opening of this video, and I covered this a while back. Oh my god, I had almost forgotten about this situation. It's been so long. Yet the Atari VCS is still listed on the Indiegogo, and you can select to back it. Contributions are not associated with perks, so maybe that's just donating money? Oh, okay. They have made over $3 million as of recording this, and they are still in the phase of making a prototype. We are now going on over 2 years, I believe, of this thing from being announced to creating an Indiegogo to here we are now, and still no prototype has been made. And they've given every excuse in the world. They've been like, oh, we've went with one GPU and CPU with AMD, and then we decided to go with a better, more powerful one. And as time goes on, parts get cheaper, we can upgrade. So we have a hard time nailing down what we want this to actually have under the hood. So we're trying to put the best things in it. And because of that, we just keep pushing the date out on making the actual prototype. At some point, Atari, you're going to have to figure out what AMD processor, GPU, CPU you're going to put into this thing to actually run it. Never mind, people don't even know what games are going to be on it because the only games you've shown have been lies as well. And your whole marketing department has been extremely aggressive towards YouTubers that dared question you. That in itself should be a red flag for people. Not to mention, on top of that, you've started banning people from official mods, you've been booted from the unofficial Reddit thread, and now you are continuing to miss deadlines with the Atari VCS scheduling, still in prototype stage. User rebellion. As the end of summer approached, one frustrated customer took to the Atari VCS subreddit to outline the updates that Atari has provided on all its social media channels since its July post. It didn't make for happy reading, and the author summarized his findings at the bottom. Scorecard since shutting down backer updates on Indiegogo. References to other people's work or achievements. 12. Direct Facebook appeals to pre-order or buy something. 11. Pictures or renders of non-functional plastic boxes. At least 18. Concrete indicators product is being manufactured. 0. Atari responded by deleting the post on a Reddit forum that it didn't run, but it had been invited to serve as a moderator. That also did not go over well. In fact, it's safe to say people went into somewhat of a rage. So Atari responded by deleting all the subsequent angry comments, at which point its representatives had moderator rights removed. So Atari responded by setting up its own subreddit, where it had continued to delete posts and comments it doesn't like. Wow. Wow. Wow, if that doesn't scream scam and vaporware to you, I don't know what to tell you. As a customer, if you're going to be giving this company money, you might as well just be lighting it on fire, because at least at that point, it might be keeping you warm during the winter, which is far more than what it's going to do by forking it over by a scam company known as what Atari has become. And if you think it couldn't get any worse, well then you don't know Atari, because earlier this month, when one of the last remaining threads of credibility came under question when the architect of its new console, the system architect for the original Xbox and designer PlayStation 3 graphics systems, Rob Wyatt, was named as the co-founder and CTO of a new game board startup. Not Atari, not anything to do with the VCS. The guy that was supposed to be the architect of the Atari VCS has already moved on to a new game board startup. He's not even on board with the Atari anymore. He's gone. They don't have anybody working on this thing. Yikes! And oh, by the way, the Game Boy -1, the ultimate social hobby gaming console, is now 13 plus days away to opening its own Kickstarter. If there's anything that Atari has taught anybody, is that Kickstarters and Indiegogo and just basically crowdfunding in general is pretty sketchy these days, and that's truly unfortunate because the acts of Atari have a ripple effect throughout the entire gaming community. Hell, the entire crowdfunding scene on the whole, all because of companies like Atari taking full advantage of its customers. Amazingly, it can get worse. Atari observers immediately started asking the company if Wyatt was still working on the console they have been waiting years for, and the answer was predictably Atari. Is Rob Wyatt still with Atari? Asked one of the new official, carefully moderated Atari subreddit. On the old subreddit, I had heard Rob Wyatt had left Atari VCS project to start his own. Is this true? And the response, hello! Unfortunately, this rumor is circulating on the web. Rob Wyatt and Tin Giant work on many different projects. Atari fans should be excited for the Game Board 2. Which it doesn't take a genius to realize is not exactly a straight answer. Is Wyatt still working on the VCS? We have emailed him and asked. No response yet. So in summary, Atari has missed every single deadline it has ever set around the VCS console. It hasn't provided any updates for months despite repeat promises to do so. There is still no evidence that there's even a working prototype. The only man on the team with actual experience with building a game console is now the co-founder of another startup. Atari was booted off its own subreddit for deleting posts and comments it didn't like. Holy crap, like, what else do people need to see to believe that this entire operation is a sham? I've been talking about it since the beginning. I did a deep dive on this Michael Arts fellow who's basically a marketing guy who just goes around trying to sell vaporware. Only a few of his products ever even made it to market. This guy is a scam artist, a modern day snake oil salesman. Atari is not the Atari all of us grew to know and love back in the day. It's just a bunch of guys that bought the naming rights and started spamming it on everything. This has literally turned into a project where they just keep kicking the can down the road. It could be, who knows, 15 years by the time they actually get called into question about this. Who's going to do anything about it? Who's going to say anything? They can just keep saying, oh, we ran into a hiccup here, an issue here, a problem with this. This is the problem with crowdfunding. Without a working prototype, without any actual solid details coming from the console, they can just keep making excuses forever. Not to mention, they have a ton of lawsuits coming their way, and a lot of the backers' money might be used to fight those off. And as a backer of this, I'm not sure how you should feel about that. Money you paid for a console is being used for other reasons to basically let these guys keep sipping pina coladas in Cabo San Lucas. This has been reaching the heights that the US government should probably be getting involved with. The Federal Trade Commission, or whoever's in charge of this kind of thing, the Better Business Bureau. Somebody should make these people accountable for it. But the problem is, if they spend all the money they've made in the Kickstarter, you're not going to be able to squeeze any money out of them in order to get your funds back once they've been brought to any sort of justice. I mean, maybe prison would do these guys well, the way they've been treating the money here. Maybe prison is too light of a sentence. Anyways, I'm going to leave the video right there. That's where we are with the Atari VCS right now. If you are a backer for this thing, I don't feel bad for you whatsoever. If you've watched some of my previous videos, I've tried to tell you, do not participate in this scam vaporware company. If you're new to the channel, I do feel bad for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so this doesn't happen again. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.